Hey everyone, welcome to She Ace That. I'm your host, Alexandra, and I'm so excited to be doing our first episode today of the She Ace That podcast. I've been working on this for a little bit in the background and excited to finally share it with you. There's so many things that I'm excited to cover, and this is going to tie into where volleyball meets life, but it's not always going to just focus on that. We do have club season tryouts coming up and high school season tryouts, so we'll definitely be focusing on that for a little bit. I wanted to create a place that has more than just the volleyball skills and drills, and I don't want it to be textbook. I want to go into the other stuff that not many people do talk about, like clicks and navigating the dynamics of school and sports, and what happens if your friend doesn't make a team, and even all of those embarrassing moments that we're more than likely the only ones to remember, but that change the trajectory of our volleyball experience. I'll definitely be giving you a lot of tryout tips along the way, and I'm looking forward to some of the guests that I already have planned to come on the podcast and a lot of really cool topics. So, with that, before we jump in, I did make something for you guys. It is an ebook. It's called She Aced That Tryout Ready, and this is your personal mentor, a confidence builder, everything into one. It has my story plus skills and drills, what coaches expect at each level per position, how to figure out what you like per position. And we also get into some of the social dynamics of the sport and kind of what to do when you might not be performing your best during a tryout day and ensuring that that doesn't hinder you actually making a team or not. So it's priced less than a private lesson, and it will give you more than you could even ask for from a private lesson. It's basically a tell-all of everything that I wish I knew when I was going through tryouts that would have tremendously reduced my anxiety about it. I'll put it in the show notes if you want it. It's also will be linked to our socials. And with that, let's get into our first episode. I feel like it would be weird if I didn't start telling you a little bit about myself, maybe how I got here and why you should even maybe listen to my advice in the first place. So, my volleyball journey started, well, in like elementary school, I would play recreational teams, but it wasn't really volleyball. It was more so just like passing it on the side of your net because you couldn't get it over. My first tryout was seventh grade, and I'll never forget it. It was the first one is daunting. Like, you don't know what to expect. You're thrown into stuff that you're not used to. It's not like I was practicing before seventh grade or trying out before seventh grade. So that was a huge pivotal moment for me, and even the dynamics of friends and realizing that choosing that sport, I would be spending the most time with the girls that made the team. It is crazy how making that one decision in seventh grade of, okay, I'm going to focus on volleyball versus, I don't know, tennis, soccer, it impacts more than we realize, but there's always more greatness still to come. I ended up going into high school, made the freshman team, and that was another horrifying first. I've been through tryouts before, but it was still so scary to be the youngest girl in the entire school, and really you don't know anybody older than you that much unless you have friends who are siblings that are older. So it's very intimidating, but I will say I did have great experiences with the girls. A lot were super nice. And again, we'll get into kind of the clique and bullying dynamics and how to handle that. I made the freshman team as a setter. I wasn't really a specific position person. I didn't know if I was going to set. I pretty much was only setting because our team needed a setter, and I've never hit a ball in my life by freshman year. That was my go-to spot. We ended up going undefeated at the freshman level, of course, but it wasn't because we had the best skills in the whole district. It was actually because we just knew how to keep the ball up and allow the other team to make the mistakes. So I do think it's really interesting that skills are important, but they don't always win games. After that, I started my club volleyball journey. I was at a few clubs in Michigan, and I played at like a state level, and then I ended up playing at a national level, and then I ended up just playing at a state level with friends. We made a team of 7 of us who all knew each other from previous volleyball experiences. And it was the most fun thing in the whole world to put together a team, a competitive team with your closest friends from high school, which was so cool. My volleyball journey took a twist like before sophomore year. That club season, I switched from setting to hitting. My team needed a middle hitter. I was the tallest girl on the team. And I had no clue what I was in for. And realized very quickly maybe why people don't immediately go to wanting to be a middle blocker and prefer an outside or even right side. It's a lot of work. I mean, don't get me wrong, every position in volleyball's insane, but being a middle hitter, you're going left to block, you're going right to block, you're trying to line up for yourself to block. You have to get to the 10-foot line quicker than any other hitting position. And there was a lot I had to learn quickly, but my coaches at that time saw that I could adapt to that, and they saw more in me than I even did. So I went back to school, to high school season, and I made the varsity team as a sophomore, but still as a setter. They were still having a goal of training me as a setter. They wanted to take younger girls and train them really well. So by the time they do make it to varsity, they're in a good position to start for the team. They pulled me up immediately from freshman to varsity. I skipped over JV completely, and all my friends were on JV. I was the only one in my grade at a varsity level, and I personally felt I did not play at that level. But again, my coaches saw something in me that I clearly didn't. Every year after that, I was a middle for the rest of my volleyball career, and it shows that you don't have to know what position you want to play. Even by the time you get to a senior in high school, your college that you go and play for, they might see you as something completely different than you ever thought. I will say it's always best to have the versatility of skills versus pinpointing yourself into one position, because if your coach can't leverage you elsewhere and there's already 3 other girls in that position on the team, then it does impact your playing time. And we'll get into a whole conversation of playing time as well. I think that's important along with attitude, but it's one of those things that you have to allow yourself to be adaptable. And I will say that's one of the top things that coaches look for. After high school, senior year, I knew I kind of wanted to play volleyball in college. Obviously, everybody has like a D1 dream of playing. And my coach at the time was looking at D2 and D3 schools for me. I talked to some, I toured others. Nothing really seemed right. And I always wanted to go to Michigan State. That was my dream school. So I came to the conclusion that my volleyball journey was over once my senior year of high school season ended. I wasn't going to play on a club team and spend the money since I wasn't playing in college. I was planning to go to a big school, and I didn't realize that there were actually other options to keep volleyball in my life. So freshman year at Michigan State, I knew I was going to play like intramural volleyball. So that's when you sign up with your friends and there's like co-ed teams or like women only or men only teams. And it's really fun and laid back. It's something so cool to still be able to play in a competitive standpoint, but with people you're friends with and closest with at your college. I ended up finding out that they have club volleyball at the collegiate level, and it is like a JV to their D1 varsity teams. It's a huge commitment. You have to try out. There's practices for hours and multiple nights during the week, and you're pretty much traveling most weekends to tournaments at other schools or hosting one yourself. And I never realized how intense college club volleyball could be until I went to those tryouts and I looked at all the other girls that went to Michigan State who are great volleyball players. They either didn't decide to play in college or wanted to, again, go there. And I ended up making that team, which I was shocked about because of how good and how many volleyball players were there and how good they were too. And that changed everything for me. It changed my whole college experience. I went through the most incredible memories by taking that chance and being on that team. I went to 2 national championships with the girls on that team. We played Ohio State in the finals 2 years in a row, got medals. It was the coolest experience, and I'll never take for granted the girls next to me that experienced that with me. Most people can't relate. I mean, there's nationals at the club level in high school as well, and even younger. But this was such a unique experience to be at an older age and still being able to grow my volleyball skills. I had to take an internship my senior year in college, and I came back and actually coached the club volleyball team. So some of those girls were my old teammates. Most of them are not too much younger than me. And I really had to learn their respect and understand, okay, from a coaching perspective, I've never really coached a full team before. And that was something that I was given the opportunity, and I was like, I need to run with this. This is an incredible thing to put on my resume, especially if I want to coach in the future, given that my volleyball career's over as an athlete. And from there, I coached 12U to 18U teams. So I was teaching girls to serve all the way to teaching girls how to win a national championship, and with private lessons in between. From that, I also went to coach a varsity volleyball team, and I had all of these different levels of experience. And I will say, the crazy thing is, sometimes I felt so much more happier and motivated and excited when the girls that I coached did something incredible versus even when I played. Like if my girl finally got her jump serve down and she got an ace that first day in that tournament of her doing it, that was like, it was incredible. And when I saw that seventh grader make her serve overhand after we worked on it for weeks, I was like, that that is so rewarding to be able to stay in that sport and be that mentor to other girls and be able to impact the trajectory of their volleyball careers, because every decision makes a difference. I do firmly believe that everything's meant to be, but your future is totally in your hands. And if you think that you can't play at a college level, I am here to tell you, you absolutely can. We always put ourselves into this box of not understanding how far we can get out of it. And that box is imaginary. It's just us putting it in ourselves. That's for when you graduate college and for jobs. We think, oh, we might not be qualified for this. But it's up to you to decide that. If you automatically say, I'm not qualified for that position or opportunity, then you're not even giving yourself the option of actually it becoming a reality. So all of that is why I wanted to make She Aced That. I remember, especially in grade school, being so lost sometimes. It seemed like everybody else had their lives together and their plan for 5 years out. But for me, I always was kind of anxious, and I remember always dealing with tryout anxiety. Like, even if I knew I had a chance to make a team or knew that I was in a position that not many girls may be playing in or trying out for, it still is so nerve-wracking because those few days or few hours of your tryout feel like they're defining you forever, and they're not. It's really how you leverage that anxiety and those butterflies as fuel to make yourself stand out. And even if your skills are kind of failing you during that tryout, there's so many other things you can do to pretty much guarantee a spot on that team. I wish I had somebody who got it, you know? Sure, we have our parents to talk to about things. We have our friends, especially if they're in the same grade or same sport. That's really great to bond over. But I feel like sometimes we don't open up in the ways that humans should. We're not as vulnerable as we could be. And I feel like the way the world is, it makes sense why a lot of people are reserved or maybe don't want to be speaking out or genuinely staying who they are. And I feel like that's kind of what is failing in our society, and something that growing up I always checked myself on is like, do I fit in? Should I post this? You know, the thing that that boy said about me, is that true? And it's just, we get in our own heads more than anything. It's so easy for people to be mean or say something that impacts you for the rest of the day. But the people who did those actions probably didn't even think twice about it. And they're just living in your head and impacting you. She Aced That is really meant to be kind of a big sister approach to how to handle everything in between. You probably know yourself, there's different challenges that everybody goes through in different grades, in different chapters in your life. more than likely I've been in your shoes before or have done something embarrassing that is living rent free in your head. Starting this podcast is scary for me too. I think being vulnerable is scary for most people. I don't think most people are like, yeah, let me go start a podcast and put myself out there, or go pitch to a company, or go apply for that job, or try out for that higher level team than the one from the year before. But being vulnerable and telling our stories and striving for something bigger than we're allowing ourselves to picture is how we connect as humans. And I think it's so important to understand that we are all humans, and sometimes hiding behind a screen can take that away from us. It's so easy to comment on somebody's post and there's really no repercussions of what you say. Most people who experience hardships or things that are really impacting them are behind closed doors and you don't see it. Social media is a highlight reel of people's lives for the most part. I mean, there's totally pros and cons to it, but it's when we try to default into this perfect picture life and goal is when we become more anxious and depressed and impacted. And I will say, you don't know it by now, nobody's perfect, no life is perfect, and no journey's perfect. And when you go through sports in any way, there's this high level of expectations, competition. You have to be better than the girl next to you. But then you also have to backtrack and say, this sport is not an individual sport. I'm fully relying on that girl next to me. And sometimes that girl's probably feeling the same way as you. And it's always great to make those connections, give somebody a smile, talk to them. If you're going into a club tryout and you don't know anybody, find a friendly face and say hi. So when you do whiff that ball at that tryout or you do something great, you have somebody who's rooting for you and you're rooting for them. That's what I don't like about tryouts, is how isolating tryouts can feel. And which it shouldn't be that way because you aren't alone in that. So anybody can have a reaction or opinion to your voice or who you are as a person, but genuinely who you are as a person makes this whole world the way it is. You're not alone in the struggles, like the nerves, any failures that you think are failures. They're probably not. They're just a stepping stone to the next thing in your journey that's meant to happen. And you gave yourself the opportunity to gain confidence by pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. We have neurobiology that drives us. Any traumas, any things that stick with us in our brain, it actually impacts us on like a cellular level. And there's things like little core memories throughout my whole volleyball career that I remember specifically because it was either a really good thing or a really bad thing. And those changed who I became over time as well. And I think that goes with school too, like school dynamics, group dynamics, even after college, like you realize who your true friends are. And it's so easy to adapt to the people that are in your immediate physical circle. You're going to high school with these girls for 4 years and you've probably known some of them for even longer. And it gets into this routine and habit of, maybe she isn't that great of a friend, but I don't have a way out. Like if all your friends are connected, it's almost impossible to break free from any traumatic cycles or things that, you've been used to for so long of your life. So I just want to normalize that there's no perfect timeline when talking about anything or being vulnerable. Sometimes we stick in denial or try to file it away so we can get through that day, week, month, or year. But eventually they will come up and eventually it's time to talk about it. So with all of that, let's go into today's topic, tryout nerves. I hate tryouts more than anything in the world. I wish I could almost do a personal tryout without having all of the girls around me, but then at the same time, I wouldn't want all the focus just on me either. So I don't know. I've watched tryouts for club, for high school varsity teams. I've obviously been a part of them for all levels. And I will say, I don't think there's been one level that I was like, oh, this is easy. I think every time, even again, if I know I might make the team or have a higher hope and confidence, it still is so nerve-wracking to put it on yourself to be the best performer you can be in the specific time and role that you're given. We'll definitely get into cracking the tryout code, what that means, and maybe some rituals that helped me that might help you. Overall, just be kind to yourself through these tryout seasons. It's really such a minimal part of making a team. Obviously, it's impactful, but if you show up in the ways that I'm going to tell you, I promise you, you will have a huge chance of making it, and there's really nothing to worry about. It was summer freshman year of high school. It was my first open gym. We were using those big boxes that sometimes you'll have in the volleyball closet where you can stand on for hitting or passing drills. And we were doing this one drill where pretty much girls are just standing there and they're just, chucking a ball way off the court. And you're supposed to go chase the shanked ball to try to pass it back to your teammate on your side of the net or go all the way back across. And the drill before that, we had those boxes out and we left them, of course, out in the gym because we weren't putting them away yet. We still had like another hour in this 90-degree gym. I remember this being the first ball that I was going to go run and get. And my friend threw it like 20 feet off the court, which we were trying to. We were really trying to get it out there, so you had to sprint after it. And then I wasn't looking where I was going. I was running full speed ahead. Honestly, I just was trying to work hard, so that trumped any skills that I was lacking in. Next thing I know, I was on my back and I literally flipped over the box in front of everybody in the gym, all the varsity girls that I didn't know, all my friends. Looking back, you'd be like, that's hilarious. That was a stupid accident. And now if that happened to me and I was playing, I would laugh. It wouldn't even faze me that it was embarrassing. But back in that moment when you're just having nerves in your body and pretty much can't even think about what you're doing, I was so embarrassed. And I bet you none of my friends who were there or none of the older girls, they probably don't even remember it. And of course, now I wish I had a video of it so that could go into my volleyball portfolio of embarrassing moments. But it's those types of things that we just remember ourselves, and not one person will ever remember that it was either you specifically or the level of embarrassment it was in that moment. So as tryouts come up, just make sure if something happens, even if you go up and whiff the ball, you didn't even make contact with it, that happens to everybody. Or if you're going to set and the ball falls between your hands and hits your nose, again, that happens to everybody. I've had my college setters have that happen. I've seen people time the ball incorrectly. The light gets in their eyes because the gym lights, pretty much every gym suck. So just remember that even though you probably want to control everything, you're not gonna. So just let it ride, and we'll get into kind of how to handle when you're in that mindset. Let's start with the night before tryouts. Maybe trying to find some sort of ritual and tips that help you get more prepared than maybe you would be just by going into it. So definitely pack smart. For me, I always laid everything out the day before because, yeah, once you're playing volleyball for years, you're like, okay, I'm going to keep my knee pads in my bag, my shoes or ankle braces in my bag. Everything you need for every practice normally stays in your bag. But if this is your first tryout or, if you got new shoes or new knee pads, make sure you lay it all out almost as if you're packing for something. And make sure you pack extras of almost everything as much as you can get in your volleyball bag. If you have a small volleyball bag, I highly recommend going to get a huge one. I'll have to grab mine and show you guys one time, but it's critical to be able to fit a volleyball in there. Not that you have to take one to tryouts or anything like that, but you got to fit, your shoes, ankle braces, knee pads, water bottles, hair ties, backups of some of that too, even extra pair of gym shoes, maybe some ibuprofen. Make sure you have it all out. Actually, in the tryout ready guide that I made, there is a full checklist of pretty much everything you could think of and need and what to bring for extras. Make sure that you have absolutely everything. And do not, please, 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 do not wear your court shoes for the first time the day of your tryout. or your knee pads or your spandex. Like, make sure you're using things that, A, won't give you blisters, B, aren't going to hurt you or give you a rash. Make sure to break them in. And you're not really supposed to wear court shoes outside, and I'll tell you a story probably of why. But if you have to do that, go out in your backyard, run around in your court shoes, every day for the week before to get your feet used to it and then broken in. And especially if you have ankle braces, because then that will help your shoes get used to it. One time, and this was when I learned that I need backup literally everything. Even if you're driving, keep them in your car. If you need to bring an extra bag, bring an extra bag. I was running late to a tryout and I had my shoes and ankle braces on already and knee pads. And my mom was dropping me off. Like, I wasn't driving yet. My mom was dropping me off at the front door. And I wasn't looking where I was stepping because I'm trying to rush in, go get my number. It's 5 minutes till the start of tryouts and I'm not even warmed up, which was another disaster in itself. But I stepped in a puddle. Right outside the door, and my whole right shoe was soaked. Like, my sock, my shoe. I didn't have extras. My mom didn't have extras in the car. So I went through the whole tryout with a soaking wet foot, and I still made a team. I didn't make as high level of a team that I wanted to, but I just pushed through it. And I feel like a lot of girls get stuck in those scenarios of where they push through it. But never hesitate to ask if somebody else has an extra hair tie or water bottle. Pack extras even for your friends. Try to help each other out. And there's always something that pops up. You need tape for your pulled muscle on your leg if they don't have a trainer, which they should always have a trainer. But there's all these little things that add up. Make sure you have a good night routine the night before. Maybe even write yourself some notes of, if you've been playing in the past, the things that you thought were impossible that became impossible. Learning how to jump serve. Let's say you're going into your first tryout jump serving. That's a huge accomplishment. I'm sure years before you didn't even know how to coordinate the footwork of it. Try to put those things out. I swear whatever you put out into the universe, it does come back one way or another. Yes, affirmations are one thing, but I really believe in manifesting your own reality and everything will follow. Once it gets to the day of tryouts, just make sure you eat something. This sounds like a mom tip, but it's true. I'm not a big breakfast person, so most of the time I really tried not to eat before tryouts, but something as simple as a banana 20 minutes before, or peanut butter toast, something that won't come up once you get started. It's so important to have that energy, especially if your tryouts are longer than an hour, which most are in a row. Make sure you bring an electrolyte packet, maybe a bar so you can take a bite in between. I've had times where I got so lightheaded and I actually ate a decent amount before, but I think it was just my blood sugar being funky. So the last thing you want is to have to sit out for part of the tryout because of something like that, because that reduces your amount of time to prove yourself. Okay? Get in the car, set a playlist, put your hype songs on a playlist. Music does wonders. If I'm in a funk and I know if a song comes on, then it'll make me feel better and I forget to put it on. But one of those things that is so easy, maybe drive to the tryout with some friends, put on some jams that you guys listen to. I always loved Till I Collapse by Eminem during varsity warm-ups. Once that song came up on our playlist, I was like, okay, we're about to go into this game and we're about to play. And it changes that mentality for you. Find something that works for you. And I highly, highly recommend to either bring headphones for before and really set your intention for the day. That is your time to shine. Don't be texting your friend back if she's mad about you going on a date with her boyfriend the week before. Don't be going on social media trying to look for negative comments or things that people are saying. Try to zone everything out. Ignore any stressful texts that you're getting. Maybe put your phone on Do Not Disturb a couple hours before. There's nothing that you have to handle or think about through the whole tryout. All the drama, just stay away. Stay away. If you do, just remember it always passes anyways. There's no reason to push through a tryout or a practice worried or anxious about what you can't control on the outside of it. Although I know that is easier said than done. I've been in plenty of scenarios where I should have taken my own advice. When you walk in, you're probably hearing girls warm up already every time I've walked in. And even though I was never late, I always already heard people warming up, and it was a little intimidating already. Remember that person with the perfect serve or the person that is a rock star setter. They used to, I don't know, hit the ceiling or shank the ball. Everybody starts somewhere, and you do belong there just as much as anyone else. Even if you can't pass or set or hit and you're in high school, try out for the team. You never know what you can do until you start, and it's never too late. Breaking the tryout code. And these are the real secrets. As a coach, yeah, skills are great, but these are really the only things that I cared about. So, one, being loud, call the ball loud. I get it. If all the other girls are quiet, it's very intimidating to be the loud one and you maybe they're staring at you, but it's because they're jealous of your confidence. Make sure you're screaming mine at the ball every time. And I promise you, especially if you're the only one doing it, your skills don't even matter anymore. It's showing you that you're willing to show up for your team, your coach, and that you're willing to stand out. Consistency over power. Consistency is huge. If you can get that roll shot over every single time just to keep the ball in play and to make sure it gets over to the other side of the net, that's huge. You're giving the opposing team the time for them to make a mistake versus you. Setting, be really minimizing doubles. Serving, are we getting 9 out of 10 serves over the net? It's all those things that you need to think about. So instead of like jump serving, stick to your consistent serve that you know you can get over every single time. This one's huge for me. I'm definitely going to have future topics on this, but when your skills are failing you, your attitude can save you. I don't care if you whiffed 5 balls in a row, if you're still cheering for your teammates, if you're still calling the ball, if you're still smiling, if you're still high-fiving others, if you're still acknowledging your coach and feedback of what they're giving you, that goes such a long way. And for some reason, we have this entitlement, especially in grade school and then obviously going into college too, that we know everything. Our coach doesn't know more than us. Oh, they're telling me to do it this way. Well, this way feels better. I've been there, so I know that mentality of being able to bond with your teammates over things that you disagree with your coach about. Plenty of times. There's plenty of times that me and my friends have just dished on coaches, said this doesn't make sense. We don't know why we're doing this. And now looking back, I can put a justifiable reason and logic behind almost everything I've always ever done or been through a tryout or practice or game scenario. Take a step back on the attitude. If you're somebody who feels extremely entitled in this sport or any sport or in school, it's one of those things that it will bite you in the ass. I don't care what people say. There's a difference between confidence and then an ego, and your coaches will notice. And if you have an attitude, there's a 90% chance you're going to be cut right off that. I think coaches nowadays are so sick and tired of it. And on top of it, parents get extremely involved, which another topic for another time. We do not want the parents to be that parent where they're throwing a fit about their child's playing time. That child is getting that attitude and ego from that parent. So please, 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 if you have one, hide it. If you can't hide it, then it's probably not the right sport for you. And you will find that out pretty quick. There have been times where I should have cut a girl because of her attitude. And there were times that a positive attitude made the team and they didn't even have close to the skills as the rest of the girls. And I still played them because we needed that attitude on the bench and on the court. When your skills are failing you during a tryout or you're having a rough day, the louder you are, the better attitude you have, and showing you're a great team player is all you can ask for. And I promise you it will go so much farther than your skills. You could have the best skills on the entire team. And if you have a snotty attitude or, you're talking bad about other players or coaches, you're probably going to be shoved out the door eventually. It's not worth the time and it takes away everybody's fun. That was another thing is even when I played and the girls that had awful attitudes, nobody wanted to be friends with them. I think everybody felt like they had to be friends with them. to stay on their good side, but that's not fun for anybody. Nobody looks at you like you're better because you have an attitude or that you're cooler. It's just not that way. And it might seem that way, but that's just cutting that out. No. All right. So wrapping up, that was a lot, but I wanted to start with a high level tryout conversation, introduce myself. Next week, I am going to focus on what coaches actually want to see at each level per position and how to prepare yourself for those tryouts. We'll go through maybe some drills, but again, all of this is in the ebook that goes into way more depth. I'm so excited to talk from a coach's perspective, what you actually need to worry about and think about. Obviously, coaches are different in what they look for, and sometimes it's actually helpful to ask them ahead of time or on the first day, introduce yourself and be like, this is my position that I'm going for, but I would really appreciate any feedback, or if you would like to see me in a different position after the first day of tryouts, please let me know. Next week, we'll go through what actually coaches look for tryouts. We'll go step by step, position by position, really hit on the important things that you do need to worry about. It's not going to be exactly what you think. I'll have new episodes out every Wednesday on Spotify and Apple. Find me on @SheAceThat on pretty much all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. My DMs are always open, so feel free to send me any stories you may have or topics you may want to hear about. I will definitely read all of them and any other questions you have. One last final thought. When you think something is ending, it really is just beginning. My volleyball journey ended when I thought I wasn't playing D1, which is a huge, huge goal. I mean, that is a stretch, but I wanted that. Then I made that club team at Michigan State, and it was just as equivalent, but almost, if not better in some ways, than making the D1 team. Those were the best years of my life. Then even the coaching journey that I think I knew I would want to do that one day, but I didn't know for sure. Be kind to yourself. You've got this, seriously. And as always, I'm here for you along the way. Thank you again for joining She Aced That, and we'll see you next week.